Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
So let's get down to business. Here is the plot summary for Under the Christmas Sky, the movie we are recapping and reviewing on this episode, just released on Hallmark Channel. Kat is an esteemed astrophysicist who is scheduled for her first trip into space next year until an accident grounds her. While on leave, coming to terms with the reality that her dream of being an astronaut is over, she volunteers at the local planetarium. There, she is paired up with a by-the-book David to work on an exhibit opening right before Christmas. Will the stars align and bring these two together for the holidays? Let's find out. So, curtain up, and we're in Kansas City, Missouri, which is apparently the home to Bobo NASA. We're going to call it the National Space Program. And our female lead here, Kat, she is sitting at the TAC, the Training and Assessment Center, and she is super nervous. She chats with her best friend about the restorative power of tinsel when she spots a Christmas tree and immediately gets some bad news from Dr. McDockerson. She has a blind spot in her vision, and her dream of becoming an astronaut and going to the International Space Station is officially kaput. The doctor is so sorry because, of course, he's Canadian, and we actually see her blind spot when her brother picks her up, and it's clear why being an astronaut is a bad idea. So what they do is they show us from her perspective, her point of view, and we see this smudge on the screen. Jennifer, the first time you saw this, it was a little jarring for me and a little cringy. What was your initial impression when you saw the blind spot?
Oh, I didn't think it was cringy. It did take me aback because I was watching on my phone. And I was like, oh, yeah, am I buffering? Is something amiss with my internet connection? But then I realized what they were doing. I didn't think it was cringy. I liked it a lot. Now, I don't like to brag, but this was 20 years ago. In high school, I had to have a physical to be a marching band because, why not? And that included an eye exam. At that time, dear listener, I had fighter pilot vision, a toot. So I could have been in space, maybe. I don't know. That's no longer the case. Turns out staring at multiple screens, multiple hours of a day can hurt your vision. But anyways, I just shook everything on my computer. I didn't think it was cringy, but you did?
I did. I don't know. It was something about the way that they represented this particular disability that was just it felt a little phony to me. I don't know. We'll talk more about it later.
I can't say that I agree with that. To me, it helped seeing what she was seeing.
Okay, I could see
to understand, like, oh yeah, this is not a good idea for her to go to outer space.
If
it's not going to get better, because she was in an accident, right? A car accident, and for some reason it affected her vision. And they said, well, if it was going to fix itself by now, it would have. And so they're kind of just giving up on that.
But it didn't. Yeah. Anyway, her brother is super sweet. They go for a little bit of shopping. She later helps her dad hang lights. He wants to help her with her blind spot. So does mom. They're treating her a little bit, in my assessment, kind of like an invalid, and it's a little heavy-handed. It felt a little bit like she's a grown, successful astrophysicist. She's not a cancer patient. Like, it's just not, it just felt a little sad to me. I don't know.
Yeah, but couldn't you see your parents doing the same thing? Like any parent, and being parents now, I would do the exact same thing. Yes, it was heavy-handed, and they've never been in this position before. They're doing the best they can. Is what I thought. I did appreciate when Dad is hanging the lights. They're using command hooks to hang lights on the outside. I was like, that's a real moment, Dad.
That's the way you do it.
Our entire exterior illumination should be sponsored by command strips. If I can command it, I will put it up. So I thought that was nice instead of like
by 3M.
Right. Instead of being like professionally decorated, they're out there, and it was attainable. I liked it. It was a small detail.
Very attainable. Yes. Her brother runs off to the planetarium to steal a flyer about a sun exhibit to try to cheer her up, and winds up flirting with the museum cafe worker. Her name is Celeste, who tries to stop him from stealing the flyer. Her bestie.
Like Celestial.
Exact. Oh, good point. Celestial. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was a little heavy-handed.
For sure. Her bestie picks up a milkshake and wants to know if she's coming back to Bobo NASA when her medical leave is up after Christmas. It turns out the museum wanted a consultant from Bobo NASA for the sun exhibit that's going up there. So, of course, Kat is literally a perfect fit. She is there at the museum, and she quite literally runs into Lila, a cute girl whose dad, David, is the museum curator, our male lead in this film. He is not so excited that Kat is there because it feels like it's stepping on all of his curator toes. He's very territorial about it from go.
Yeah.
It turns out his relationship with the museum bigwig boss is a little bit frosty because boss lady Renee wants this exhibit to be a showstopper, a sun exhibit showstopper. And so she insists, quite literally insists, that David and Kat work together to find a way to tie it all into Christmas. Oof, here we go. They chat in
order, and
space.
Renee had a lot of talk and no help with the execution. She's a dreamer.
She's a dreamer, and she is a boss lady in charge, and she wants you to know it from go. So anyway, our two leads, David and Kat, they chat in the space that we're working with here, and Lila shows up to ask a few questions about the sun and pour salt in the wound when she asks Kat whether she's going to space. So here we go.
Kids say the darndest things.
They really do. And boy, do these movies really count on kids saying the darndest things to move things forward, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Kat's brother flirts some more with the museum worker, Celeste. Later, Kat and David chat about her accident and her broken dreams after he realizes she has some trouble seeing. So David admits he's grumpy about Renee's plan because he's stubborn and not creative. Kat decorates the tree a little bit later with her family. They bought a sun ornament to commemorate her work on some big sun probe over at Bobo NASA. Later, she has a late-night cookie snack and a heart-to-heart with her daddy-o. Kat's brother is trying to win over Celeste the next day, so he drops off a bunch of toys for the museum's charity drive. He agrees to help since she's busy, so he has nothing going, so it basically makes sense for him to be developing this friendship, this relationship, and serving over at the planetarium. So here we go. Kat
I love the brother. The whole I thought he jumped off the screen with charisma.
I thought so.
Every time he was on the screen, I was happy. Yeah.
He's a great add to this movie for sure. Kat explains the mythological connections between the sun and Christmas, which I actually found to be fascinating. I had no idea. David is like, no thanks. He's not excited about it. He's
a buy the book David, according to the synopsis.
Buy the book David, yes.
What more do you want out of Ryan Paevey? Buy the book David.
Buy the book David. She lays it on pretty thick and tries to pitch a Santa son as the unofficial tour guide for the exhibit. David's daughter shows up, and they kind of sort of bond over both not being able to be astronauts, because what you need to know is that Lila uses a wheelchair. So obviously they both have something up against their dream of becoming an astronaut, and that's what they both have to try to work through as we go here. So Kat needs some help with her hand-eye coordination. Apparently that's part of her work presently. So David takes them curling. Curling, of all things.
Get a curling montage. That's the first curling montage I remember. Loved it.
I know.
Thought it was super fun and lighthearted, and because it was her brother and Celeste and then our leads, and so it was like a little double date. I enjoyed it.
It was enjoyable. I thought so too. She grabs a drink with her bestie afterwards and unpacks where we are to this point with the exhibit, with David, and her blind spot. And I got to tell you, Jennifer, I love it when these movies do this, where basically if you've been sort of halfway paying attention, or you got up to, I don't know, get a snack, something like that, and you come back, the main character invariably throughout these movies is going to have a cocktail or a drink with their best friend or a milkshake, and they're going to unpack everything that's happened to this point so that you can kind of catch up in that scene. Not that the plot
really needs it. It's usually, unless it's Where Are You Christmas, it's not that involved. But I have never wanted a peppermint milkshake from Chick-fil-A more than I did during this movie. They go to Winkies and get these peppermint milkshakes, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wish Chick-fil-A was already serving their peppermint chocolate chip milkshakes, because I'm not even a big milkshake gal, but I can throw down on those in the holiday season. Hopefully soon.
Soon enough, yes. Anyway, so Bestie has news about a museum curator gig that has opened up, and Kat's like, I might be interested in it. problem. It's in Chicago. Stay tuned.
Of course, a big city. Of course.
Big city. Here we go. David and Kat go over to work, and they're going to check through Renee's feedback on the exhibit. There's a lot of close talking in this scene and some flirty eye contact because David has all the feedback on his laptop. So he's typing. And here comes Kat, and Kat like saddles up like literally right here.
For the listener at home, it's on Josh's shoulder, like
literally,
the devil and the angel show up on the shoulders.
Very whispery. Oh, so you be David on the video, like lean into the middle here.
Which way's the middle?
Oh, other way.
I didn't go there.
It's like this, and they're like close talking, and it's like da 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 da. So it's very close talking. Obviously,
they also had a close moment. He was helping her lace up her skates during the curling montage. It's very intimate.
I know.
It's been building.
Sudden. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have science in common. What more do you want?
We've got things to do. We've got a romance to build here. There's a lot of close talking. Like I said, it's a little flirty, and it all seems a little bit ... off to me. More on that.
Really?
Celeste gives Kat's brother a long, and I do mean long, to-do list for the ornament decorating party at the museum that's coming up. We get a work montage with both couples, which I thought was kind of cute. Good music, and it seemed to move. Lila loves the resulting exhibit, and she invites Kat to join her and her dad for something called a Santa cone, which is like a dessert where it looked like it was ice cream with a cone on top, and the cone could be decorated as like a Santa hat or a tree or whatever. And I thought this was a brilliant idea.
Looked delightful. Absolutely delightful.
Kind of into the idea. Might make it for myself. Stay tuned. Anyway.
Yeah, it looked great. The one year we took like the waffle cones and put them upside down and decorated them with green icing and like trees. We've done that before. But I never thought to incorporate ice cream, and it's right there. Why didn't I think about it? But yes, that was amazing. Enjoyed it.
I loved it. Yeah. They gab about Christmas traditions, and they decide to do a big Santa tracking party at the planetarium. So now we have a new project for them to work on. And I'm like, yay? I don't know. Kat's family is there to see the big sun exhibit. It's apparently a huge hit. So is the ornament decorating thing, thanks to Andy and Celeste's hard work. Andy, by the way, is Kat's brother. This is the first time that I'm writing his name in my notes.
I actually forgot that was his name, and it's also my husband's name. So what does that tell you? Whoops.
There you go.
The names just get there. There's a lot of names in these movies. Man.
Exactly. Yeah. Lila makes a replica of Kat's sun probe, but it gets destroyed by some mean bullies. Kat tries to console her, and the two have this really sweet bonding moment. But rather than see this as endearing, David is, for reasons I'm really not quite clear on, absolutely miffed that Kat was kind to Lila in the moment.
How dare she? You do know Kat didn't break the ornament, right? Some big bully did, and Kat's trying to step in. Now, was she assuming the future mother or stepmother role a little too much? I guess, but they try to explain it in a minute. I'm sure you'll talk about that, but it was jarring because when her ornament got busted, I did find myself being oddly emotional about it. I felt so bad for her. I just wanted to give her a big old hug.
Because Lila loves everything having to do with outer space, wants to do that kind of work when she grows up, really looks up to Kat. It was really sweet. Yeah.
Lila was precious. She tugged at my heartstrings.
Well, absolutely. And I think that she added a lot of heart to this whole thing for sure. Kat unpacks the recent drama with David, with her bestie. And by the way, I note in my notes, because they're in Kat's family's living room, Jennifer, there are 6, count them 6, Christmas trees in this one living room. I literally paused it to count the Christmas trees in this living room from multiple angles. I was thoroughly impressed.
This family, even though it's held together by command strips, they do Christmas, okay? They are some cookie monsters. They be eating Christmas cookies non-stop. Don't check their A1C levels right now. No.
Maybe that's why we're getting commercials in between all of these segments for that.
Jar dance or whatever it's called. With those, oh my gosh. I don't think that's really what it's called, but
I'm going to have that choreo down pat by the time we get through Countdown to Christmas.
Yes. So many commercials about the diabetes medicine. Lower your A1C.
There you
Here,
go.
let's talk about Christmas cookies and ice cream I mean, it's like just looking at the temptress in the mouth and these things.
I know.
Milkshakes, all of it.
Anywho, David shows up with his tail between his legs. Clearly, he realizes what he's done. They make amends, and then they go off to decorate the tree at the planetarium. Kat stumbles off the ladder in this weird sort of physical moment, and it's a forced kind of tender moment. Kat's bestie coordinates a tour a little bit later at Bobo NASA for Lila, and of course, she gets a sweet moment with a Bobo NASA employee who also uses a wheelchair. So she gets a little bit of a tender moment, which I really liked.
That she can still be involved in this line of work and still chase her dreams.
I love
That was very sweet.
It's Christmas Eve, and we are busy, bustling to get to the planetarium for the big Santa tracking event. Lots of laughs over breakfast at Kat's house. Everything's looking up and up. Now it's nighttime, and Kat is changing clothes in David's office when he busts in weirdly and helps her with a necklace, which of course is one of these tender moments, which leads to a kiss. Huh? And I guess they're officially a couple. It was a little
Sure.
Yeah.
When you work on museums together, you know that ignites the flame.
It ignites it.
It's unstoppable.
It's a passionate development in the museum there, for sure. They run the Santa tracking presentation, which basically looks like them gabbing in the microphone as we see Santa dance across the screen and later chucking candy at the crowd, which I appreciated.
Okay, listen, I would have totally come to this event. Not on Christmas Eve. I mean, most people have other traditions already in place on Christmas Eve, but the thought of tracking Santa on the big planetarium thing, I thought that was great. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I have to agree. I thought they did a good job with it. It was cute. It was funny to me to see these kids sort of try not to get hit in the face with candy canes, however.
Yeah, that could have ended up in the ER real quick. One rogue edge of a candy cane and your night is ruined.
You're done. Kat is approached about that curator gig that we heard about a little bit earlier in Chicago. David is bummed that she might leave Kansas City, and this leads to a spat. And Kat is conflicted, as the main character usually is about 12 minutes before these movies are over.
We call that the old oopsie doodle, and in this case, it was a cat spat.
It was a cat spat oopsie doodle, yes. But, true to form, it's Christmas. Bestie and Celeste show up over at Kat's house, but Kat she's got to leave. She's got to go. She's got to go take Lila her Christmas present and tell David she's had a change of heart. She's going to stay in KC. They decide to go back to her house for, of course, more Christmas cookies and a mistletoe kiss, because, of course, it's Christmas and there's mistletoe. And we must reinforce that this couple is here to last for good. Period.
Okay, it's time for our gold or coal segment. And if you're new to the pod, we each bring 3 gifts. If there's more gold, it's out of this world. If there's more coal, it's a cosmic crisis. And if it's a tie, it's just a Merry Christmas. Josh, coming to you first.
So my first, I have got to give some coal, and I know we might disagree about this, but the blind spot editing thing was just a little off-putting to me. And here's why. Every time we saw the blind spot, and I could be wrong, but this was my recollection. Every time we saw the blind spot, it was a still camera with the blind spot. It was not like a face kind of navigating through life with the blind spot. And it just sort of, like I said, I found it to be a little bit cringy. I didn't really get it. It wasn't for me. Anyway, I think we disagree on that, though.
We do disagree. It did not bother me. I thought it actually helped me have more empathy for her situation. Sort of related to that, I will give some gold. I liked that they did not... I was afraid when she fell off the ladder towards the end that she was going to hit her head or something and magically her vision would be healed and fixed. That would be the easy thing. But I'm glad they did not heal her ailment. It's still a problem for her, but she's still pursuing a career path. She can't go to space, but she's still in the program. She's still going to kind of reprogram and figure out things that she can do to move forward in this line of work, because that happens sometimes. Sometimes life does give you a big old blind spot, literally or figuratively, and you have to kind of bob and weave around it. So I like that she had to take it and run with it instead of just this Christmas miracle and she's healed.
Yeah.
So I like that. I'm going to give it gold.
Well
I thought
said.
it was more realistic.
I agree with that. My next gift is going to be coal. There was almost negative chemistry for me between these two leads. I didn't buy their relationship. It did not feel well developed, or as you would say, earned, which I think is such a great term. It did not feel earned to me. I cared way more and was way more invested in Andy and Celeste's budding relationship and found them to be way more endearing. And to that point, I actually found Kat's mom and dad way more endearing and cute than Kat and Dan.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they're the number 3 couple and they're supposed to be the leads, like, it's got to be Cole for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't disagree with that. I did find I liked the B characters a little bit more because I really liked what they did. I will give some gold. I like the music throughout, and I don't always say that. I thought it was a lot of, like, there were some instrumentals, there was, I think, some originals and some classics, but it helped move the story. And maybe it's related to my Cole later, but I liked that the music, it made it a little more festive. It got me in the Christmas spirit a little bit. So I enjoyed what they did there. And usually it can be distracting for me. So for whatever reason, it hit all the right notes on the music soundtrack.
There you go. My last gift is going to be gold. I liked the Lila subplot with the girl who uses a wheelchair, David's daughter. And here's what I especially liked about it. They were not heavy-handed about it. You know, they didn't really say anything about it. She just was there using a wheelchair. And I thought that that was really well played. And I think that they did the whole bit with her acknowledging that, hey, I'm not going to be able to be an astronaut because of this. Really made sense. I liked the way they wove that into the plot. I thought it was well done.
That was really well done. And then after they had their little spat, when he was so mad that she had comforted her after the ornament debacle, I thought, oh, this is going to be the reason she's in the wheelchair, some backstory, and because he was laying out this, tug at the heartstrings moment. But really it was because she'd been bullied and pushed against a wall a couple years prior and got some scratch that got infected. She had to go to the ER or the urgent care to get antibiotics. It wasn't related to the wheelchair thing at all. So I did enjoy that. That was just, that's who she is, and that's okay. So I agree. My last thing, I'm going to give some Cole. The oopsie doodle was just so, talk about by the book, David. The oopsie doodle was by the book. It didn't matter. We didn't need it. I know there has to be some conflict, but I could have gone without it. It just did nothing for me. It seemed forced. So
there you go.
Cole.
So bottom line, we had 3 gold, 3 coal. We're just going to call it meh. At the end of the day, Jennifer, it does feel like a meh kind of entry for me. It was not offensive. It was okay to watch, but for me, not really all that memorable. What about you?
I agree. I went into it thinking it would be very boring and very dry. I was surprised. My opinion of it after watching the needle moved up. I thought there were some heartwarming moments. There were some warm, fuzzy moments. I really enjoyed. I don't know if you noticed, they're decorating the museum, and at one point there's a rocket in the background, and they had reindeer riding the rocket.
I didn't notice that.
There's just little stuff like that was more whimsical than I originally gave this movie credit for. So I enjoyed that, but I agree. I think meh is where it should be. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just meh. If it's on, great. I wouldn't turn it off in a hurry, but I'm not going to seek it out to watch it again either.
Agreed.
And that, friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Special thanks to our friend Nick Schwartz for our amazing theme song, and of course to all of you for listening and watching.
And hey, if you didn't hear, if you like our podcast, we need you. We would love for you to tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers at the watering hole, and give us a review. Watering hole? Is that a water cooler? I think is probably what I was going for. Yeah. Anyways, you can connect with us at doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com. Next time, we're gabbing about Hallmark's new movie, Christmas by Design. And here's the plot summary. A fashion designer learns what's most important in life when she joins a Christmas challenge to create a new holiday-themed collection. We will have much to discuss. And until then,
may your days be merry and bright. We'll catch you next time.